All right, so let's do today's daf Yomi. It'll be a very interesting daf. Let's get right into it. We're on Lamed Daled. We're on 34 in Avodah Zarah. So in the bottom of 33, we read Dorosh Meremar. Meremar taught like as follows: Kunya, glazed earthenware vessels that we use for non-kosher wine. Ben Ukama, Ben Chivara, Ben Yeruka, whether they're black, white, or green shari, they're kosher. Ma'ishna mechametz b'Pesach. How's this different than unleavened bread on Passover? The vo minei Mereimar, because Mereimar asked, Hani mani the kunya ma'odish the musha behuva pischa. Glazed vessels were used for chametz, for leaven. What is the law about using them on Passover? Can you just clean them out? So Yeruka loy taboilach. Don't ask. There's nothing to ask about with the green ones, the Masarfim and Sireh, because the aluminum in them are absorbent, so then you can't kosher them. You can't remove the chametz. Ki taboilach. So what are you asking? Chivar v'kamei, the black ones, the white ones. Mai, what's the law? What's the halacha? Ki isbu kartufe like taboilach. If they have cracks in them, then there's no question. So what? The vare bali v'siri, because for sure they absorb and they're not kosher. So what are you asking? The shia, the smooth ones that are black or white. What's the halacha? Amar lahu. So now we'll go to our daf, which is Lamed Daled here. Amar lahu. You see here it says lahu ana chazina lu demaisi. I see that even the glazed vessels sweat. That means that they're absorbing something that they're sweating out. Since they sweat, they are absorbing something, so they're not kosher. They can't. Meaning, if something not kosher in there, it can't be purged. My timer. What's the reason for this? The Torah itself says in Leviticus that a copper pot could be made kosher, but a earthenware cannot. That whatever is goes into the walls of the pot, if it's made out of earthenware, the cup or whatever, it never leaves it. It's absorbent, so that's why you have to be careful with earthenware to keep it kosher. So even if it's glazed, it doesn't remove the issue of it being not kosher. So, the question is, what about non-kosher wine? That Mereimar said that if it's glazed, it's kosher. Are we saying that since chametz is a biblical prohibition and non-kosher wine is a rabbinical prohibition, so maybe that's the issue? Anything the rabbis enacted, they followed the pattern of the biblical law, so that can't be the purpose. We should make a point, even though it says here yain nesech, it means stam yenam. Yain nesech means wine that was actually offered to an idol. That is a biblical prohibition. It's stam yenam, that's a rabbinical prohibition. But colloquially, our sages call it yain nesech. So it shows that our sages used colloquialisms as well. So anyway, we say that anything that the rabbis established, they followed the pattern of biblical law. It's a tashmisha b'chamin, tashmisha b'tzainin. So the difference is chametz is hot, so then it gets absorbed. Wine is cold. You don't serve hot wine. So cold items are not as absorbent as hot items, and so that's the answer of why we're more strict with chametz than we are with non-kosher wine. Chametz on Pesach. Rabbi Kiva called Ginzak. Rabbi Kiva went to a place called Ginzak. It's a different version of this story where it's Mar Ukva. Bo minei masanim l'shois ein masanim l'shois. So the question is, can you have a partial fast day? Let's say if someone wants to take upon himself a non-obligatory fast, does it count for something he fasted half the day? Or even, let's say, some of the rabbinical fast days, if someone has enough strength to fast half the day but not the whole day, does that count for something? So you have a big day. So Rabbi Akiva didn't know the answer. This is a very interesting question. It should be noted that there's a Yerushalmi in Menachos that says that if you fast half a day for 2 days, that counts as 1 day. 2 halves equal a whole. So then there are other issues, other questions of what this means. Many different versions of what it means fasting, partial fasting. For example, if someone just forgot to eat all day and then they decide they want to accept a fast, there's different opinions what this means. So lahavi they can kanim shel akum a certain mutter in lahavi day. They asked him about pagan jugs for wine jugs. Are they kosher or not? Lahavi day. He didn't have the answer. Ba'amashimish Moshe kol shivas meim luyim. What did Moses wear during the 7 days when they were inaugurating the tabernacle that we're learning about in these parshas, and we'll read about in Vayakel? He didn't have the answer. Also, Sha'al be Midrasha, so he went and asked this question. He went to yeshiva, asked, first of all, the halach is you could have a partial fast. You could fast for a few hours and it counts for something, or whatever it means. A vow to fast, a partial fast, half the day, or a few hours is binding. And if he finish the whole davening, finish the whole fast, he should say anenu. We can understand maybe he fasted until mincha. Could say anenu. At least according to how the Ashkenazim understand it, we only say anenu privately by mincha. Law is that if you leave a pagan jug for a year and you let it sit and you don't use it, it becomes kosher then, because by then whatever taste is left, and that's true with many things. You know, when we moved into our home here, it had a microwave and a dishwasher, and we didn't use them for the first year. Dishwasher we still really don't use. Microwave we use, and you leave it for a year without using it, it's kosher. What did Moses wear during the 7 days of the inauguration of the tabernacle? A white cloak that he wore specifically for that. Rav Kahana taught that it was specifically a white cloak that had no hem. So Rashi says, Moses would not wear the priestly garments because he wasn't a priest. It says, make holy garments for, vestments for thy brother Aaron. And he was not a Kohen, he was a non-priest. However, he was allowed to serve for those 7 days, but he wasn't allowed to wear the priestly vestments. Imra Safa, and when it says it didn't have a hem, Imra, that means Safa, it didn't have like a lip around it. Imra Shleich Hashtuhu Shesamba Mitrumas Hamishkan V'lav Milsa Shari Kvar Nigma Hamlacha B'Shas Avodah Mehechen Shakel. Didn't have any pockets, so no one could suspect he was stealing from the tabernacle. That's how. All right. And even though there was no reason for them to suspect it, because there was nothing to steal, they were already done getting the Mishkan ready. All right. Vaitar chartzanim v'zogam shalakum. Grape seeds and grape peels of pagans are not kosher and you can't benefit, according to Meir. But the Chachamim say the moist ones are not kosher, but the dry ones you can have benefit from. So we have a brayso, Tanu Rabbanan. Our rabbis taught a brayso, chartzanim v'zogam shalakum lachan asurim beishim mitam. So the rabbis taught that grape seeds and grape peels from pagans, if they are moist, they are not kosher. If they're dry, they're kosher. So how dry does it have to be dry? How moist does it have to be moist? Amar Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Yehuda name is in Shmuel. Lachen kol shnei maser chodesh. Yivation lachen shnei maser chodesh. So if they are dried for 12 months, until the 12 months are up, they're still moist and they're not kosher yet. And once they've dried up, after 12 months, after they've been pressed, then they become kosher. Itmar. So we say like this: Amar Rabbi Chanan Rabbi Yechanan kashein asurin afil ba'noah kashein matun afil ba'lichila. Rabbi Chanan said the name of Rabbi Yechanan that when they're not kosher, you can't even have any benefit from it. You can't do business with it. You can't sell it. And when they're kosher even to eat. So the two extremes. Amar of Zvid. So Rav Zvid said, "Hi, derdai the chamer moi." This derdai, the shmarim, the dregs, the sediments of Aramean wine. It's a tracy yarchishata shari. If 12 months of a year passed, then it's kosher. It would seem even that it's something that when you soak in water, you make a new wine, something like Rosh and Kavine, Amar of Chaviva, where the Rava Hani Gulfe, Basa Tracy Yarchi Shata Shari. Chaviva, the son of Rava, said that these jugs of pagans that contain non-kosher wine, after 12 months of the year have passed and they've been cleaned out, they're kosher. Amar of Chaviva Hane, Rav Chaviva said these, and now we're on Amud Beis, Lamed Daled Amud Beis. Wait, that's Lamed Hay already. Here we go. No. There we go. Lamed Daled Amud Beis. Okay. After Taya Basar Gracie Yarchi Shata Shari. Leather canteens used by like Arab merchants who were traveling, or any traveler. Canteens for travel. If non-kosher wine was put in them, if you wait a year, they become kosher. If they're empty. Amar Rav Acha Brei Rav Ikka, if they're empty for a year. Rav Acha, the son of Rav Ikka, says, Hane Purtsane Darmoi Basar Tresa Yarchi Shata Shari. Purtsane. So what's Purtsane? It says Psulas Shalanavim. The Purtsane means the leftovers, the garbage, the of the grapes. So the art school translates it as pomace. Grape pomace from Arameans. Basar Tracer Yarchi Shata Shari. After 12 months of the year passed, they become kosher. Amar Rav Acha Brei Rava. Rav Acha, the son of Rava, said, Hani Gulfei Shechime Guuchme Basa Tracy Yarchi Shata Shari. Rav Acha bar Rava said that red and black jugs of pagans, if they've been empty for a year, they become kosher. Vamurius. What's Murius? So Taner Rabbanan. The rabbis taught in a brayso. So Murias is something made out of fish guts or a type of food. It's always made from kosher fish. So this is Murias Uman Mutter, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gamliel, Ayman Mishum Rabbi Chanan ben Gamliel, Af Chilak Uman Mutter. So if you buy it from a professional, from a store, if the Murias, it's kosher because they never put wine. And Chilak, what's Chilak? So, min dogim taharim, sultanishman. Chiluk is a type of kosher fish called sultanis. The Mefarish Lakam and Firkin is taught later in our chapter. Because when they're born, when they're small, they don't have fins and scales, so you don't know they're kosher. But because later, as they grow up, they grow these fins and scales, they are kosher. Even before they grow the fins and scales, the same species. So it says chiluk shel akum aser voisim min dogim katanim lochar harvi yachin neima asura, because we have in Lamed Tes and 5 more dapim that chilak, this type of fish from a pagan, is not kosher. You know, those small fish, a lot are sold together. Neima asura. So why is it not kosher? Neshavenu oilim dogim tmeim doimin la. Because they sell non-kosher fish that look like it, and it goes together. But even if he's not Jewish, if he's a professional fishmonger, he's going to know which ones are the real chilak and which ones are non-kosher fish that look like it. And he's going to separate nishim nechoshev taima, kalkul sultanis and merolei lekule arabei. Because if this type, having non-kosher fish mixed in with it, makes it kind of taste bad. So if you buy it from a fish dealer, you're good. So it's the same thing. They said chilak from a uman, from a professional, is kosher. Tani Avimi Breda Rebbe Abo. Avimi the son of Abo taught following Bryce of Morius uman mutter. Morius, this food made from a fish guts, whatever, that's kosher. Hu tani lava hu amaleh. He taught like this, and he taught pamrishin v'sheni mutter shlishi aser. It's the first and second times you make the murias from the fish guts, that's kosher, but the third time it's not, that they cook it. My time of pamrishin v'sheni nefishim nayu mitzerchel mirim v'chamra mikan velech roma v'chamra. So the first and second time, since it has so much fat and it's high quality fish oil and things, so then it's going to be kosher. But after that, since it's lower quality, they might add wine to it, and then it's not kosher anymore. So it has to be from the first and second pressings. Okay, weiter. So Ahu Arba, the Murius, the Asi Lemela, the Akko. So there was a ship with Murius as its cargo, this fish gut stuff, and it brought it into Acre, to the port there, to Akko. Oisifer be Abadim in Akko, the Torah Bahada. So Rav Abba of Akre sent mashgichim to make sure that the pagans merchants wouldn't mix wine into it, or non-kosher wine. Amalei Rava Adinam Natra. So Rava asked him, who are the mashgichim until you sent mashgichim, until you sent people to watch, to guard it. So Amalei Ade Edna Lamai Nechushla. Imishim the Marve Bechamra Kista Morius Bluma Kista the Chamra Barbalume. So you're going to say like this. You're going to why would they mix in wine before now? A measure of Morius is sold for 1 coin, and the same measure of wine is sold for 4 coins. So wine is much more expensive. They're not going to add it in. But wine that's where they're coming from. But once they come to the Holy Land where wine is more available and it's less expensive, so then they might mix in the wine. So Amar Le Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Zera, Dilma Aide Ditzor Asu, Dishvei Chamra. But maybe on the way Yomi and Zarah said they pass through Tyre, through Tzor, where wine is not as kosher, where wine is not as expensive. Amalei Hasim Mikuli Sharika. He said the sea next to Tyre has whirlpools from the snow that melts there, from the mountains. So they can't get that close to there. It's too dangerous. All right, weiter. Gvina base unyaki. Cheese from base unyaki, which has some pagan aspects to the cheese, is not kosher. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish neimaras for gvina unyaki. So Rish Lakish asks, why is the cheese of base unyaki prohibited? It's not only it's not kosher, it's not even allowed to have benefit, according to Meir. The answer is the rennet that they use to make the cheese comes from calves that were slaughtered as sacrifices to pagan idols, and so that would make it not kosher. So my area roiva golem a fil mute nami. Now, why does Reish Lakish have to mention that most of the calves that are slaughtered there are idolatrous offerings? Even if some were, it would already make it not kosher. So the Harabi Meir, chayish l'muyuta, because Rabbi Meir is worried, even if it's a small amount. So Iyamart roiv ika miyut. So if you're going to say that most of the animals are slaughtered for pagan idolatry, even if some were, would already be a problem. Well, Iyamart miyut, and if it's only as few, if it's a minority, given the ikar roiv golem the einish chatem la'akum, economy sharbahemus the einish chatem la'akum, havel miyut to the miyuta.
But Shlomo, honey, be careful.
But if it's a minority, and there are other animals that are not slaughtered for pagan purposes, so it's a minority. A minority should be kosher. And even Reb Meir, who was so strict, wasn't worried if it's a minority of a minority. So that's why Reish Lakish said that the majority of the calves there were offered for pagan idolatry. So Amalei Rabbi Shimon ben Liakim Rabbi Shimon Lakish. So Rabbi Shimon ben Liakim said to Reish Lakish, "Kinishchatim la'akum, my haviva ha'atu dushare. De itmar sheichet es abehem l'isrek dam la'akum la'akter chelba la'akum Rabbi Yechanan amar asura kasav mechashvan le'avodah l'avodah v'funin chutz mipnim Rabbi Shimon Lakish amar miteris." So Rabbi Shimon ben Liakim said to Reish Lakish, he said, "What? Even if they were offered to a pagan idol, what difference would that make? If because Reish Lakish himself taught, if an animal was slaughtered with intent to throw the blood for a pagan idol, or to burn the fat for the pagan idol, but the slaughter itself was not for the pagan idol." We derive the law of the idolatrous sacrifices which are offered outside the temple from the law of our holy sacrifices that are offered inside the temple. Reish Lakish said that they are kosher because they don't have in mind. Yochanan held that there's a continual idea that every action renders the whole animal not kosher, but Reish Lakish says no. If it was partial intent, doesn't render the whole animal not kosher. So the enzymes which are used to make the rennet would not be non-kosher according to Reish Lakish. Marley Traminach Shaita Oimedigmar Zvicha Hu Oivda. So Reish Lakish said to Reb Shimon ben Liakim, your time should be raised up, meaning your future merit. In the future, you should ask better questions, because the Mishnah means here where when he slaughters the animal, it has an idolatrous intent, so that already makes the whole animal not kosher. It's a different case. It can't be compared, so therefore even according to Reish Lakish, who otherwise could be lenient about such a case of Tekrivus Avodah Zarah, but here he's machmir, because the whole animal has an idolatrous intent, and based on Yoki, that's how they would fear sich. Alright, weiter. Rabbi Yehuda, Shmuel, Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda said that Rabbi Shmuel asked a question. What the halach is about the cheese. Amar Rav Chadvoi, Amar Rav. Rav Chadvoi is the name of Rav. Mekadesh prefers Shor Niskel Mekudeshes, prefers Eglei Akum and Mekudeshes. Rather interesting and difficult Gemara. Most people would hear such a thing. If you hear this out of context, it sounds very strange. We know when in the Jewish religion, when a couple gets married, how is it accomplished? The husband gives the wife a gift. Generally, our custom is the husband gives the wife a ring that's of an discernible value, and based on what the value of the ring is, then we can say that it's an actual gift that has actual value, and the marriage is affected. There's Kiddushin. There's the sacrament of marriage. So, the question is, what if someone doesn't have money for a ring, but they have something else that's of value? And so, this is going to sound very strange, but what if someone wants to use the excrement of an ox that is supposed to be stoned because a sin was committed with it, and that is the gift that is given for Kedushin? So if it's the excrement of an ox that's going to be stoned because of a sin was committed with it, then it's considered a gift that has an actual value, and there's Kedushin. But if the excrement was from a cow that was sacrificed for idolatry, then it's not betrothed. So what's the difference between an animal? Both animals you're not allowed to have benefit from. But this is something that's already removed from the animal.
Do not get dressed in your outfit yet. We have hours and hours and hours to put the class.
So what's the difference?
Put your demi stuff on.
Either you could say it's a logical argument or a scriptural argument. So one answer could be like this. When it comes to something that's offered to an idol, the owner wants the animal to be fattened. So even if it has more waste inside its body, that makes it heavier, it makes it more valuable. And because of that, since we are prohibited to make any benefit from anything offered to idols, even the excrement is considered an offer to the idol. When it comes to an animal that committed a capital offense that has to be killed, has to be stoned, the person doesn't care, and so the waste is insignificant, and so the waste has value because it's not something that's, meaning if it was destined to be destroyed because it was offered to idols, you're not allowed to have benefit from it. So that would include, with the idol, that would include the excrement. But with the Shor Niskel, nobody's looking to care anything about the Shor Niskel, about the animal that's destined to be destroyed, which you're also not allowed to have benefit from. And so therefore the excrement does not have to be destroyed, and so the excrement has a useful value because doesn't have to be destroyed according to Jewish law, and so therefore it could be used whatever to make a vessel, to make a pot, like for a potted plant or something, or it could be used for fuel. It has a value that's useful. Boy say makra ksiv hachalid bach v'yachem uma so haskam sakal yisakil hashor v'liyochel psari. Or we could have a scriptural argument when it comes to something that was offered as a pagan offering. It says you should not have anything stuck to your hand from it. Anything means even the waste. But when it comes to the animal that killed someone and has to be destroyed, it says you should surely stone the ox, and you should not eat from any of its flesh. Sorry, Aser. Only the flesh you're not allowed to have benefit from. Ha pirshay muteris. So therefore, its waste is you are allowed to use. Amarava. Service of Tavaru Tananhi. We learn both of these from Mishnayos. This Mishnah discusses what kind of rennet would render the cheese not kosher. If it's from nevela, rennet from a non-kosher animal, regular non-kosher animal. Wouldn't we say that the rennet made from a burnt offering in our holy temple, we are more strict than the nevela, but the priests in the temple were allowed to gulp down the rennet from a burnt offering and not. But so what's the issue with the nevela? We are more strict with something that's kachim, aren't we? So miklal d'surei hana sharu pirshayu. So we see that benefit from something, the waste of something that's forbidden for benefit is kosher. So would Rabbi Shua say to Rabbi Shmuel that the cheese is not kosher because the rennet comes from something that was sacrificed to an idol? So if that's so, shouldn't the cheese be totally prohibited from benefit? And so that shows that even the waste of a pagan offering is even prohibited to have benefit. So we'll have to discuss this more tomorrow. And thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Right, that's Lamed Daled. All right, thank you. Take care. All right, how do you turn this off here?